So this is digging down to the bottom of the barrel. This is really not a big deal. But I did want to revisit one of the biggest trades that the Vancouver Canucks made back during the 23-24 campaign. The Elias Lindholm and Andrei Kuzmenko deal. And how this waiver wire situation from a few days ago relates back to that trade. This post made on the Canucks subreddit by Admirable Fall 4675 says, "We won the trade." And included is the Elliot Friedman post. Joni Jurmo of the Flames and Ty Voigt of the Maple Leafs were both on unconditional waivers on Tuesday to terminate their contracts. And spoiler alert, one day later, it was revealed that both Jurmo and Voigt cleared waivers. They got their contracts terminated. They are no longer a part of the Calgary Flames and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Now, why is Joni Jurmo being brought up in this conversation? Well, it's because when you look at the trade which actually sent Jurmo to Calgary in the first place, it was indeed that Elias Lindholm trade. And I will zoom in first. I want to put this onto the screen a little bit better. I will defend the trade. Still, after all these months, after over a year of this trade being done, I'll still defend it. Even though Andrei Kuzmenko is looking really strong in LA, even though the Vancouver Canucks losing out on their first-round pick in 2024 was quite significant, I will say the value that Elias Lindholm brought the Vancouver Canucks for that season up until the playoffs was a lot more than maybe I think some of us were expecting. Sure, he might not have absolutely scored the lights out, but he was a right-handed center who was a top 6 caliber guy who could play very well defensively and who scored some super clutch goals in the playoffs. The only problem was he was not going to want to stick around in Vancouver as a third-line C behind Miller and Petey. We all know what happened after that. If the Canucks had been able to trade away JT Miller earlier, which of course they weren't able to do, they were not going to trade away a 100-point caliber guy to keep Lindholm. But if you had a crystal ball back in the summer of 2024, and you showed Patrick Allvin and Rutherford, hey, Pettersson and Miller are going to fight, the whole team's going to be in shambles, you're going to be forced to trade Miller. 1 year from now, you're going to be heading into the season with a broken, beaten down, and shell of his former self, Elias Pettersson, and Philip Hedl as your 1-2C. Just sign Lindholm, man. Like, if you had convinced Allvin last year to do that, then I think things would be a lot different today. But still, there was a lot of value that Lindholm brought Vancouver, and for the most part, a lot of Canucks fans were just more so frustrated with the package going back the other way, in terms of futures, picks, and Andrei Kuzmenko, who wasn't really working out all too well under Tocchet's system anyway, but that's a video for another day. Regardless, let's go over Joni Jurmo and talk about his profile as a player that was just released from the Calgary Flames organization. 23 years old, 6'4", 207 pounds, left-handed guy drafted by the Vancouver Canucks in the third round of the 2020 NHL Entry Draft. 82nd overall guy, Jurmo was taken in that weird year where scouting was kind of all over the place and the draft took place in October, so there was just so much ample time to over-salivate and over-analyze every intricate little detail about the prospects in that time frame. Joni Jurmo had a projectable 6'4" frame and smooth skating, lending itself to covering large swaths of ice and carrying the puck from one zone to the next, sometimes effortlessly. His speed makes him one of the best puck rushers in the Finnish U20 league. He accelerates well, and he's already in motion and is a deceptive skater in the neutral zone with crossovers and changes of pace. I know recency bias is a thing, and players drafted in similar years to each other will generally garner similar sorts of conversations about them, but honestly, when I took a look at Joni Jurmo's scouting tape from 2020 and 2021, it was not unfair to say that Joni Jurmo might have presented kind of like a poor man's Owen Power style of game. The way this guy could move around the ice, could skate with the puck, could just go up and down all three zones, was so quick, so fluid, with a long stride and very good glides. This guy was like kind of a silky knife cutting through butter. He was really smooth with his footwork. It's just unfortunate because Joni Jurmo was never able to take the junior production that he had and use that at higher levels of play to a significant capacity. He inevitably became a full-time Liga guy with multiple different teams, and then last season when he was with Ilves and Kuku, this is the year where he got traded over to Calgary from the Vancouver organization. The year after, he had spent it in the Calgary Wranglers system, 0 points in 17 games there, but he was a near point-per-game guy with the Rapid City Rush in the ECHL, so the third-tier league. I guess the Calgary Flames don't really see too much value in Joni Jurmo anymore as a 23-year-old guy, so they decided to buy him out. Or not buy him out, they decided to terminate his contract. I guess with the way that it's being phrased here, terminate the contracts, it implies that Joni Jurmo himself is okay with the decision as well. So really, the Calgary Flames are losing out on really nothing of substance for their NHL or AHL teams. They're just giving this guy a new opportunity to be a free agent and either stick around in North America, maybe he stays in the ECHL, or he decides to go over back to Europe and sign in Finland one more time. Who really knows? But the fact is, a lot of Canucks fans were sort of panicking about the trade 1 year ago. Hey, wait a minute, the Canucks traded away 2 legitimate D prospects to Calgary, and a first, and Kuzmenko, for a rental in Lindholm. And I kind of don't agree necessarily with the way that panic sets in, because I do think, the Canucks did put in a reasonable amount of effort to bring back Elias Lindholm. I do think you can't dismiss that. But also, even back when the trade was made, Joni Jurmo wasn't really a guy that was exhibiting the best profile anyway. If anything, it was Hunter Brustevich, who was seen as a much more valuable prospect because he was absolutely scoring the lights out in the OHL. The season he got traded over to Calgary, he had 92 points in 67 games played with the Kitchener Rangers in the O. Crazy production there. But as he went over to the AHL, he didn't produce as much compared to the OHL. Still fine though, 32 points, 70 games played. That's a really good number. But Hunter Brustevich, as a right-handed defenseman, he got overtaken in the depth chart the moment Zane Parekh was taken by the Calgary Flames. So it's a lot more difficult for Brustevich to display NHL projectability long-term if you think about the other names that are also on that roster. I guess with the departure, or inevitable departure, of Rasmus Andersson, maybe there's another spot available there for Calgary to bring Brustevich in. But still, he was half a point a game in the AHL. He could use another season in Calgary's Wranglers organization before he can fully become an NHL guy. He's only 20, though, so there is a lot of room here. I think Brustevich still has a lot of value, much, much more than Joni Jurmo. But I did want to just kind of acknowledge where we are, 1.5 years after the trade, how Vancouver is looking a lot better after the trade was made with the departure of Joni Jurmo from the Calgary Flames organization. We won the trade, Admirable Fall 4676 facetiously goes out there and says. 4675. Oh boy, I messed that up big time. But I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. What are your thoughts about that trade that we had looked at? What are your thoughts on Kuzmenko, Brustevich, and Jurmo? What are your thoughts on Jurmo departing the Calgary Flames organization, if you are a Flames fan? The comment section is your floor. Let me know in the comments all your opinions. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.